Welcome to SoCal Sports Report's 96th live podcast. I'm John Stellman with John Adams, Jake Faminsky, Justin Stellman, our producer-engineer with whom we could not manufacture this show. Going to start off with the Rams. We've got a full plate tonight, but the Rams are a train wreck. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. Losing the ball game to Pittsburgh, unable to score an offensive touchdown, relying on the defense to get your points. Todd Gurley rushes 12 times for 73 yards in the first three quarters, averages 6 yards a rush, and it doesn't touch the ball in the fourth quarter. They lose by 5 points. I don't understand it. Maybe Jake and John can help me out here a bit. I'm kind of getting tired of Sean McVay continually blaming himself and making excuses for Gurley not getting into the game, Gurley not getting touches, Gurley not being involved. But when is that going to stop? When is Gurley going to be involved? I mean, I don't need to hear any more of his excuses. I just want to see Gurley carrying that ball in the fourth quarter when you're down by 5 points and he's averaging 6 yards a carry. That's I don't understand it. Can anybody help me out with that?
Well, I think we all started at the very beginning that Gurley was going to be kind of rested, kind of like Kawhi Leonard actually right now for the in the basketball sense, to have those legs and be fresh and ready to go for the second half. Well, they found out that they're not clicking like they were clicking last year, and I think it's turning into a deal where, I don't know, it kind of looks like McVay is coaching and flipping coins on the sideline. Again, we've said this from the very beginning, that if Goff is hot and Goff can make the throws, then the Rams are going to be tough to beat. But we're starting to see that the even getting Ramsey and then they lost a couple DBs and corners, that their defense is not overpowering any teams like they used to. Like, they controlled the line of scrimmage last year when you had Sue and you had and Donald, yeah, and then you had these good DBs, right, and Talib and Peters, and now they're gone, and you bring in a good guy with Ramsey, more of a hothead, but I just think that it's a they're not getting penetration a lot on the quarterback to make stupid decisions. The linebacker play is mediocre, and they're just not the team as what they were. But that being said, they still have the great offensive power. Cook being hurt is not helping. They don't have a deep threat really. Cooper Kupp is doing what he's supposed to do, but I just think it's you're putting a lot of money onto Goff, and Goff's not producing, and I don't know if actually McVay is comfortable with what he's calling, to be honest with you, where everything, like, he could have called anything last year and it was working. And either they've figured him out and how his play calling goes. But on the flip side, I mean, you got to look at, Phillips too, on the defensive side. I don't know. I think both coordinators are kind of guessing right now, and it's starting to pay off, let alone they're now in a division where they have two powerhouses. Yeah. You wearing your Seattle Seahawks, I see today.
Shocking.
Yeah, flipping. Yeah, I was front runner over here.
No, I was before the Rams relocated from St. Louis.
But now they've got two seriously, contenders for the Super Bowl in their division. And the way it's going, I don't see the Rams making the playoffs right now.
No.
I've got some facts here on that. Facts and figures.
Especially, too, I mean, like, it's kind of the same situation what's going on right now in Chicago with Trubisky and Nagy. It's kind of like that same thing.
Where I always bring up this Chicago.
Sorry, I have to.
Because it's really bad there, too.
Yeah, the Bears are back. No, it's
Bears are back.
But, I mean, like, the same thing. It's like, Nagy, but what McVay's calling with Goff, it's like he's almost kind of flipping coins, like what John was saying. It's like, I don't know if this is going to work anymore. And Goff's looked terrible the last, 2 or 3 games so far. And I mean, with, Gurley not really producing. And I mean, think about it this way. The defense put up 9 points against Pittsburgh, and Goff only put up 3. With those weapons, that cannot happen. I don't care that it's in Pittsburgh, but that cannot happen on a nationally televised game. With that, with all that offensive power, you cannot put up 3 points.
Now did McVay get
Plus
out
the
coached
safety.
in this game when Cooper Cup does not have a reception.
Well,
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
you got to
yeah.
be able to throw it to Cooper Cup
Yeah.
also. You know what I mean? That's the other thing. It's just not Cooper Cup was dropping passes, and I can't pull up the targets, but I mean, you know, I would say that's one of his go-to guys.
Right.
But you know, you're running the football, right? And they're not successful, and he was really successful last year in play action passing, and they're not getting to do that as much. And it's kind of a wait and see, but then I'm sitting there going, your back's against the wall. Like, and by the way, their schedule is not easy.
Oh, I got it right here.
It's
Who do they play on Sunday?
oh, they finish Seattle, San Francisco. I think
They
they
will
finish.
not make the playoffs.
Yeah,
No,
I don't think
no.
I don't think the way it's going. They play Chicago, right?
This Sunday night.
Is it this Sunday night?
Yeah.
And
Sorry
that
about
defense going against, I mean, that's if Pittsburgh's defense did
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
you know, well, the only positives they have is because Chicago's got no offense. So
so
I
we
mean,
got-
that's the only thing that they got going.
First
So you
one,
might
10
just go
wins.
bet the under,
Yeah.
right? Just go bet the under.
First one in
It's
10 wins.
Yeah, exactly. Is it in Chicago?
No,
No, it's here.
Okay, so that helps because I don't think Goff is a very good cold weather quarterback. Anyways, I don't think he likes it. I don't think he's comfortable with throwing the football. But again, they play. I think they play Minnesota too. Is that another one that's on their schedule? It's
Minnesota.
really they go into
Bears,
some.
Ravens, who are
Right,
7-2,
Who are
Cardinals,
rolling.
Seahawks 8-2, Cowboys in Dallas 5-4. That'll be a tough one. 49ers 8-1.
Actually,
Then
the
the Cardinals
Cardinals
again.
can beat them.
Yeah, the Cardinals.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, they don't have one easy game from this point on. So you're absolutely right. I don't
Cardinals
see them
could
making
beat
the playoffs.
I don't see them making the playoffs.
No.
at all. Especially right now you've got
I think it's 2 against the Cardinals.
it's two against the Cardinals, but you got Seattle 8-2 and Minnesota 7-3 are your wild cards. Rams are 5-4. They're 2 games behind.
And again, if they're clicking, they could beat anybody.
Yeah.
But right now, what we're seeing on the field,
No.
I don't think so.
Plus the offensive line's all
It's all
banged up.
banged
No,
up.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
2 of them are out for the year.
They got no offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
So, but still, I'm still having trouble dealing with why Gurley wasn't given the ball in the fourth quarter. Was he hurt again, allegedly, or
I don't know.
I think they just knew what was coming. I think they knew, hey, we're going to put 9 guys in the box and let Goff throw it, and I think it just wasn't working for him. I think when you got one guy, I think they knew that Gurley could beat him, but when you got 8 to 9 guys in the box, it's like, all right, let it throw. Because Goff looked terrible on Sunday.
and I think that's the mindset is make him beat us long.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have Cook, so he doesn't have anybody of a deep threat, right? Woods and Cooper Kupp are kind of like the same guy, right? More slot guys, but they got no deep threat, which means they can just, like he said, just jam it in there. And but again, like you said, though, to counter that, they were successful running the football. But again, I don't think they have good depth in the running back situation, do they? Lost is Anderson back?
He's not.
You know, so there's I don't think they have another power running.
Malcolm Brown? But
Malcolm Brown. Yeah,
he-
yeah. So
He's not
I don't know.
early.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I just,
think they're in a lot of trouble, like
yeah.
you said. Yep.
Yeah, I just don't see.
Especially how the Niners and Seahawks looked last night.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, Seattle's defense last night with just a Jadeveon Clowney by himself looks scary.
He's going to get paid a lot of money.
He's gonna-
next year.
yeah, so I don't know. I think the Rams are in big, big trouble.
And here's the deal. Like what I got out of, and I don't know if we're going to go into that game, but what I got out of that game last night was, Garoppolo is not ready for the big game.
No.
I mean, in overtime he went 1-7, 1 for 7 throwing
Should
the
have
ball.
had 4 picks.
I just don't see. I think it's on its way to being a really good team, but what Russell Wilson can do, like if Russell Wilson was quarterbacking the Rams, I think they would be doing very well because he makes things happen. Goff doesn't make things happen, and
that one play in overtime where
you got to
ran for
30 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean. They don't have anybody that can do that, right? And I'm not saying you need to go out and get a running quarterback. I mean, but he just makes things happen. And
You can't defend him. It's hard to defend him.
It really is, but you can't say that about Goff. It's very easy to defend him. You know what I mean?
Plus, he's going to throw to the guy. He never checks his secondary receivers. No. I'm throwing it to you. There's two guys on you. I'm still throwing it to you.
And Seattle doesn't have a great offensive line either, so it's not like Russell Wilson standing in the pocket going, "All right, who am I going to throw it to?" He's still scrambling, but he still makes things happen, which is
San Francisco is going to be their defense is solid, right? So they're going to be very tough to beat if they can run the football. That's the key to San Francisco. They got to be able to run the football.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Seattle win that division.
No doubt. It doesn't surprise me either.
They got to play one more time in Seattle, the 49ers.
And that's a tough atmosphere. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I just don't think, I mean even if they win, even if they beat the Bears and the Cardinals twice, they've still got, the Ravens, the Cowboys in Dallas, 49ers and Seattle. That's they're not going to.
That's a big boy schedule.
Well, in Dallas, right? Who knows what you're going to get with the Ginger, right? You don't know what you're going to get with the Dallas. They're a second half team. They're terrible in the first half.
They're terrible.
But if that's indoors on a fast track, you could possibly upset them. But the Ravens defense is solid. They're going to struggle to win in San Francisco. They're going to struggle to win against Seattle. So, I think best out of that, if the best case scenario is 4 wins.
And the other thing, too, with Arizona, Kyler Murray's getting better each week.
Yeah,
they're not like one of those where
it's not like they're a tap-in version.
No.
Yeah.
What he's done against, some of his defense that he's faced against, it's like you can't count, the Cardinals out with, basically they got Larry Fitzgerald and Kenyon Drake.
Right.
But they've looked, to the point where it's like, okay, they could, upset some teams. So I don't know. I think the Rams, that there's no gimme wins in that schedule whatsoever.
There's no gimme wins in that division.
No.
To be honest with you, they're
That's
all
right. Yeah, it's tough.
Arizona went on away and won. Right? Yeah.
What's with McVay giving us a fake punt on his own 29-yard line when he's still in the ball game?
Because it's like what we're talking about. He doesn't know what to do. He's flipping coins over there. Yeah, he's trying to make anything happen,
but not at your own 29-yard line.
Yeah.
That's I don't know.
Believe me, he has a reason why, but because that's usually you do that when they're least expecting it, and on his own 29, you're usually not expecting it. Plus, he's got a punter that can throw the football pretty good. But again, I think he's just trying to get a momentum switch there. Make something happen.
I don't mind the play. I just don't like
armchair quarterback. It's easy for us to say now.
Yeah, I don't mind the play. I just don't like the location.
Where would the location be?
Well, if at least midfield.
45,
but see they
45.
I think if you look at a majority of all fake punts, it's probably between the 25 and the 35 because you're not expecting it.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, but when you're at the 50, you can expect because why? Oh, well, because if I give it to you, I'm still giving you the ball at the 50-yard line. Like, who would expect a fake punt on their 29-yard? You crazy? That's when it happens.
The Cardinals did it against Tampa Bay and got not only the fake punt, they converted it, but they also got a pass interference call. So it was an extra, 15 yards down. So they're past midfield, which is.
I think you have to call that when you got to believe in your defense, right? My deal is. I had no problem doing that last year because I believed in my defense.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm not believing in my defense, so I'd rather you punt the ball and the guy fumbles it and you get the ball down there. So
while we are throwing quarterbacks under the bus, Phillip Rivers looks like he's gotten awfully old, awfully quick.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this last time too. Is he doesn't have the zip that he had on the football. He is in a situation where he's making desperate throws, trying to do this all by himself. You can't do that. You're too old to do this all by yourself anymore. And, look at another game that they were in, another game they should have won. But they are the epitome of we'll find some way how to lose these things. And that's what they do. And you got to give it to I'll tell you right now that was a big win by the Raiders because now that they're in contention with Kansas City losing this weekend.
Yeah.
And the Chargers are so one of these teams are going to lose this weekend because they're playing Kansas City and Mexico City.
Wild card, yeah.
And it's if they win again, are they on a bye? Are they on a bye? They might be on a bye.
Oakland.
No, they were on a bye after they got back from London. But I mean, they're playing good football and they can contend. They have a chance, an outside chance of winning the division. And you got to give it to him up there. I mean, he's doing it. He's got him believing, and so I don't know. It's every time you watch the game, you're like, Carr comes off the field saying, "I love this team. I love this organization," and I'm like, "You're so gone after this year.
Dude,
like,
you're done.
Yeah. So,
Getting in fights in the locker room with Gruden last year. Now all of a sudden you're loving
now all of a
him.
sudden,
Come on
you're
now.
like, he's getting emotional in his interviews, but I think Gruden's going to get everything he can out of every single player. So,
The thing that I didn't understand too with watching that game was the Chargers were running the ball at will and gaining almost 10, 15 yards a carry with, I know they're having little trickery plays, but it's like, it's not broke, don't fix it.
That's right.
And then they just,
and then he throws into double
throws-
coverages.
yeah.
It's just crazy.
I mean,
He throws into Mike Williams because Mike Williams is like 6'5", and he just thinks he's going to go up and catch everything. And it's just, he needs, one thing I don't think the Chargers have really adapted to is what I see in the NFL is it's 2 seconds and they're getting rid of this football.
Yeah.
I mean, these, they need more slot guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like they need the Cooper Kupps and that kind of stuff. And, he used to have that with Gates, right? And,
at least
so-
as a decoy.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's, I don't, again, it is what it is. It's and the season's probably done now. So unless they go on some stupid run, which I don't see that happening, but they are a team like they showed at Green Bay. They are a team that if you take them lightly, they'll beat you.
Mm-hmm.
So the defense is pretty good, darn good. So they can hang in there. But again, I didn't understand. You had a good play calling. In Green Bay, against Green Bay, and then you go up. You got a brand new offensive coordinator, so I don't know. I guess we're almost close to looking towards the future, but we'll see. It is what it is. It's, it'll probably be full of Kansas City fans in Mexico City and
Probably.
7 Charger fans. So, yeah. So
Which, by the way, only $50 for the Bears-Ram game, which I thought was crazy.
really,
This Sunday's only, I think the cheapest ticket is $50.
are you going?
Thinking about it.
Yeah.
Thinking about it. I might call in sick, but yeah, I'm thinking about it. But we'll see.
All right, let's stay on the football and go to the colleges. Vinny's favorite university.
Yeah.
Carol Fold is now the president, coming from a scandalous North Carolina program.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Baum has been brought in as the AD.
He's from Cincinnati, right?
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody here that thinks Clay Helton is going to be back next year unless they somehow win the South and win the Rose Bowl and win all the rest of their games.
Which they might, by the way.
They
got-
could.
They
The
could.
only. Yeah, but Utah will run that. Utah will run that. They've only got UCLA, Arizona, and Colorado, and they're all. Yeah, USC's 5-2, 6-4, but Utah's got 2-4 in the conference. Arizona 2-5, Colorado, and 4-5 UCLA.
True. Yeah.
They should run that. What about all this Urban Meyer speculation that's floating around? It seems like everybody's got an opinion on that. In her press conference, Carol Folt said integrity probably every other word. And I can't believe somebody that is that determined and that serious and that aware of what USC's been through and what she was been through would even consider a guy like Urban Meyer. It's a hard situation because the guys that, the big spenders, the deep pockets alumni want to win. This guy can win. We know Urban Meyer can win. He's a winner. He's a winner on the field. But it comes to, what do you do? Does she sacrifice her principles and values on integrity to hire a guy with a background like him to satisfy the alumni with a winner?
Well, I think the first thing is this guy had the two of them need to start fresh, right? So, there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. You got a new president that mild things out. Okay, her job is to find an athletic director, found an athletic director. Now it's their job to bring in their people, right? So I think I don't care if Clay Helton wins out, they're going to clean house, right?
Oh, God.
So I think everybody's gone, right? There might be some coaches that might stay, but I would say that Helton's gone. I don't know because it's so new. This offensive coordinator might stay. Depends on what kind of coach comes in, but I don't think Urban Meyer is actually the play. And the reason why is I don't think he's 100% healthy. I think this is everybody says, oh, he's relaxed now. He's doing TV. He's keeping his head in the game. But, okay, so all of a sudden you do that. I mean, how long do you have him for? Is the health going to come back? I mean, there was stuff like, look at Ohio State could deal with, issues off the field and be able to make things go away. But this is a health issue that they had. Like he was not doing good healthy.
No.
And I think the guy, if he wants to stay out of the hospital, has to do a non-stressful job, and keeping himself in football by commentating is the way to go. Now, I think there's other guys out there. Now, you're not going to be able to get the guy from Minnesota who's become a superstar because he's just signed, right, a brand new deal. But there's got to be some guys out there that they'll go get and just do. The good thing about it is they have an athletic director, which means they have a director that actually it's not a past player. It's somebody from another college.
He's an administrator.
He's an administrator, and he knows how to hire and fire people. And I just hope that you do your research. Just go do your research. So, that's just the one thing that, I think they're going to do. What's crazy is now his basketball coach is over at UCLA, the Cincinnati coach.
Cronin.
Yeah. So, but USC is supposed to be good anyways with basketball. But I don't know. I just think that they're going to have to just not make a quick decision here, kind of see how the playoffs go, and go out and find somebody. It's probably going to be a coordinator. Maybe it's offense coordinator from LSU. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they're starting to do their homework. But all that said, I think the whole staff's gone. So,
well, and USC too. That's a prestigious program.
Right.
I mean, you shouldn't have a lot of trouble.
Well,
finding
and
people
it comes back to us talking about it in the past, right? We look at the whole Clay Helton situation, and we talked about USC being a top 15 school in the nation to be the coach of, right? And so if you look at the SEC, right, which is the number one college football, the football programs are out of the SEC. Would Clay Helton ever be a coach in the SEC? Right. And that's what we look at, right? And say, then why does he have the job at SC? Well, he kind of fell into that, right? Because Sauce Boy went nuts, behind the scenes drinking booze, and he's at Alabama now, right? Calling
Tequila
plays.
Steve.
Yeah, Tequila Steve. And then he fell into that. And what is he? He's straight as the wall, right? He does everything by the book. When you have people doing all this illegal stuff behind the scenes, and having some illegal stuff being going on, so they're like, well, we don't want football to be added to this, so let's just keep Clay doing what Clay's doing. And yes, it's not at our liking, but we don't have problems with the football program, right? So now that they've cleaned their hands and wiped all that stuff underneath the mat, I think they now can go out and do their homework and find somebody. I just hope they do their homework and not, and by the way, UCLA could beat them.
That's what I know.
Oh yeah,
I know.
UCLA could beat them.
UCLA could definitely beat them.
You throw the records out. I mean, those kids are playing against each other. They played against each other in high school, and they're all going to be, when is that game? Is that a couple?
It's the last game of the year.
Is it?
So I think
Okay.
it's like December.
Well, they beat them last year.
2nd or something.
Right. No,
UCLA
exactly.
last
Yeah. So, yeah. So I don't know. I just hope they're doing their homework. So that's all that all that I asked for.
I do like the idea of a non-USC athlete running the program.
Yeah.
And none of those guys. What was Len Swan? He was a broadcaster after he played.
Yeah.
Was he played a color guy? I mean, none of them had any.
He failed as a politician, right?
Yeah.
Failed.
They just do that because he's going to smile and shake hands, and he's probably going to be great with the alumni, right? He's not administrator.
No.
And the last thing with Urban, real quick, just I think there'd be more jobs that he would want to take besides USC.
Well, he loves the athletes that he was getting at Ohio State
Would be
are
the
the athletes at US, and now I get to live in LA, right?
True, but I mean, you got Arkansas that's going to be up for grabs. You got Florida State that's going to want somebody. I mean, I don't know. I feel like because I've heard it, not just trying to be a Notre Dame fan, but it's between Notre Dame and USC. Yes, would I love if Urban Meyer was going to be the next Notre Dame head coach?
So
Absolutely.
you think Kelly's gone?
No, because he won't be. That's another. That's another show. But I think it's going to be. I think Urban personally is just going to stay in the booth and stay on.
Well,
on Fox
I'll
and
tell
get
you
his
this
money.
much: I wouldn't be surprised if the wife gets involved here and said no.
Exactly.
No. It's like no. Like
Yeah.
Look it's a very stressful job, right? And it's a lot of hours that you have to put in, and doing tape and reviewing tape and spending long hours in the coaching offices and, get there at dark and leave at dark. And,
Well, even
and
in
like,
the off season, recruiting.
No, he just needs to keep doing what he's doing and just stay in the box or here's the other thing. Urban, can you do this for 3 years and hand it off to? Can you get us a good
assistant
kid that you can hand it off to? I could see that happening, but I don't see this guy being a coach for over 5 years. Like I just don't see it happening, right?
Well, he's still a young guy. What's he? Mid-
But I'll tell you
50s?
this much: this guy from Oregon's taking all these kids from Southern California, right? So if you put Urban Meyer in that seat, you're going to get those Mater Dei and Bosco kids to come on over, right? Mm-hmm. Which, and then he's probably well known through, the Midwest also. You probably get a lot of kids that way. But I don't know. I don't think it's the right decision health-wise for him to do that.
Yeah.
And who is the guy? Who knows, right? We don't know that. But, LSU had a pretty good game plan against Alabama. And
That's
would
the
be
guy USC should have kept.
right.
Yeah.
Orgeron.
Orgeron. Yeah. Great with the kids, too. Yeah.
He wanted to stay.
Yeah.
He was going to be the highest paid assistant coach.
That's right.
And they said, no, we're going to, take somebody else. We're going to get, I think, was that when they got, not Sark, but Kiffin? Is that when they switched, or was that before
Kiffin
Orgeron?
threw his name in the hat for Florida State.
Yeah, I saw
Oh,
that.
did he?
That
Yeah.
was ridiculous.
I'm here if you want to talk.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
On the field, our guy from Mater Dei had a pretty good day. I'm on Ross St. Brown, 8 receptions, 173 yards, 24-yard punt return. Had a very nice game against the Arizonas.
Yeah, I mean, I think Slovis is doing
Slovis doing
what
a good job.
what a hell of a first quarter he had, right?
Yeah.
4 touchdowns and
Yeah.
we talked about it in the past. The receiver core for USC is really, really good. They can go up and get the ball. They can get separation. They catch the ball. They run good after they catch the ball. So, I mean, all that is very positive. I think for sure that, one of these kids is going to go into a portal, right? And they're going to lose one of them. Trying to keep both of those kids there is going to be really hard. So whoever comes in is going to have to do some good recruiting for quarterbacks because you're going to lose the Fink. You're going to lose him. He's a senior, I think, isn't he?
He should be. He's been there
He's
95, 95 years.
Yeah, exactly.
He's getting his doctorates there.
So
And you already
There-
lost the kid from Notre Dame. He's recommitted to Alabama. What's that?
No, Mater Dei.
No, the
Mater
kid from
Dei.
Mater
Mater Dei,
Dei,
Bryce,
he
yeah.
he was at USC and he's at Alabama. The Bosco kid's going to Clemson. So there's no, I don't know who's out there, but maybe, I mean, you found Slovis who was just sitting there waving a white flag saying I quit,
Yeah.
and they're like, and then they were able to get him to get looked at, and he is loved by his offensive coordinator. But again, offensive coordinator comes in, new guy at the new captain of the ship.
Yep.
He might not like his offensive coordinating. He's gone. Now, which guy fits that new scheme? Who knows? I mean, that's a hard part of these kids. Coaches and travel ball coaches, and they're the best salesmen in the world. They look you right in the eye and they say, "You're my guy," and all of a sudden they leave or they get fired. And all of a sudden I'm like, new coach comes in and is like, "Oh, he wants a running quarterback." So it's a tough situation. I don't know. I'd like to hear where Sears is going to go.
I know. That's going to be interesting.
But JT Daniels, if he doesn't have that starting job, he's gone. He'll be in the portal.
Yeah.
But, he won't know until after the bowl game. I mean, they're probably going to get to a bowl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they get to one of them.
El Paso.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vegas Bowl.
Vegas Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, keep it local so they don't have to go. Foster told me that, is it the Sun Bowl that's in El Paso? I think it's the Sun Bowl.
Yeah.
He says, it's not fun for the football teams, but they take care of the riders like it's no problem. He goes, we're eating steaks. And, he goes, they really take care of the riders and the beat writers. He goes, we always ask, let's go to the Sun Bowl. So,
switching gears here for a minute, talk a little bit about the Lakers, who stumbled against Toronto the other night. They play about ready to tip off here in 15 minutes against Phoenix in Arizona. Phoenix is off to a pretty good, surprising start, 6-3. If they beat the Lakers tonight, they would tie them for top spot. I watched most of that. Toronto won that game. I mean, they really outplayed them. I mean, they came in there without Serge Ibaka, without Kyle Lowry. They had a lot of guys hurt, and Van Fleet came up big, and they just they really did win that game. And that's the same old story for the Lakers. 10 out of 30.
Well, we've talked about this. They're going to live and die with the 3-pointer. I mean,
that's brutal.
Yeah.
That's brutal. I mean,
it's going to be tough for them. They don't have either. They're going to have to find somebody at the trade deadline or something. But they have too many guards, and none of them can really shoot. So I mean, you can't just go off of LeBron and Green to be your 3-point shooters. I mean, it's
plus they'll drop everybody back on those guys if the guys nobody's going to hit from outside. What's his name is supposed to come back tonight? Rondo, off the bench, about 15 minutes they say. We'll see what. He's not the world's greatest shooter either.
No, he's a
ball handler.
Right, exactly.
So far, so good, I think. So far, so good for the Lakers. Right about where I thought they'd be. Of course, the Clippers get Toronto on a second night of a back-to-back, so, Leonard had a field day against them last night. But this load management thing, I think, is something that needs to be talked about seriously because there's a lot of ways to go on this. Doc's already used it twice, lost both games. We know that Leonard missed 20 games last year. There's the fans that are paying the big bucks to come out and see these guys, and they don't play. The TV contracts, big contracts, no stars. What can the NBA can't really do anything. Doc Rivers can just come out and say, well, he was out for hamstring pull. It's not load management. He has a hamstring. But there's got to be some meeting of some kind of a compromise. I don't know what they could do, but it's bad for everybody. It's bad for everybody.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing. You can look at it in Doc's mind, right? And you're like, okay, if I can rest this guy 20 to 25 games out of the year, and he can get me an NBA championship,
right,
I will do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And I will go to my owner and say, look, I might be fined because this is where I want to sit him, and this is going to be a Saturday morning game of the week, and I want to sit him here. Like, I'm going to play him 15, sit him 1. I don't know how they do the load management deal, but San Antonio was renowned for it, and they won with him there. I don't know how much Toronto did it last year.
He missed 20 games. He played 62 games.
Right. Did he miss 20 games because of load management, or did he miss 20 games because of a hamstring, right?
More load management.
So, I mean, how do you not continue to do that, right? And knowing that with the Clippers, I know they've lost those games, but they are on the deeper side. So if I can sit George and him and do this. And going into the playoffs or the very end of the year, I'm going to have some fresh legs and ready to go. That's the most important part.
What happens when the bargaining, the contract players, owners bargaining contract comes up, and the TV guys come in there and say, we're not gonna quite pay this kind of money that we paid last year for this 5-year contract. We're gonna give you a little bit less money because you guys your stars aren't playing, and we're not getting the ratings.
So then that's when you don't talk about load management. You talk about, he's got a tweak in his knee. He's got a lower back. He's been, hey, we need you to go jump in the ice bucket, and I want you to sit or whatever. But then start lying. I hate to say that, but you just start lying, saying he's had some back spasms or whatever it is, and we just make sure that we're fresh and ready to go by the end of the season. I guess
I'm not against resting him for load management, but I just can see. I can see both sides of it. I mean,
right. So can I.
Yeah.
The ratings got to be up, or else
I guess
advertisers aren't going to pay.
I guess my question is it based on how many plays in a row and then he sits, or can he say, I don't need to play him against Phoenix, I don't need to play him against Cleveland,
back to back? Most of them are back to back.
Back to backs.
But I think a lot of it is too the whole TV deal. I think when you got national televised games and he's not playing, I think that's when
Oh, no doubt about it.
NBA is starting to get upset with it because when he was with Toronto, nobody cared about this. I'm sorry. He's sad. And nobody really even batted an eye.
Now you got two LA teams that have 2 stars on each team, right?
Yeah.
So
and that's the one thing too that one of my arguments is we're all baseball fans here. I'm sorry, but when we're in August and there's a couple teams that are in a playoff run, why aren't they on Sunday Night Baseball? But we got to sit back and watch the Phillies and Nationals play, or sorry, I should say the Nationals, but like the Phillies and Mets play when they're both 8 out and both respective races. It's that's where it's I wish the TV deals and both sports can just be have a flex schedule.
Well, the NFL does.
Yeah, no, and that's where I wish they would start to do that. It's hey,
they can switch Monday night.
Sorry,
yeah.
Your 5 o'clock game's going to 1 o'clock.
All right.
That's what I wish they could start doing. They might start doing it, but it makes sense for the NFL to do it. I wish baseball would get on that because seriously, it's what are we going to watch with 2 teams that are out of it? It's kind of the same thing with the Clippers, with the NBA. Sorry, but it's just kind of have that balance. I know the schedules are out before the next season starts, but have it to where it's. You're not going to be okay, he's going to sit these games, but maybe have something where it's okay, he's out. We know he's out. Let's push this game up.
So I guess my question is, are the Clippers the only team that do load management? I guess that's my question. Do you see,
Lakers haven't done it yet.
Lakers haven't done it yet, no.
No. But, the kid in Milwaukee, is he...
Jonas?
The Greek?
Yeah, the Greek freak, right? Is there some games where he sits, right? He's a big
Embiid
kid.
in Philly, I don't know.
Yeah, right. Well, he just gets himself in trouble all the time, so that's how he gets himself some load management. But again, I think I would really monitor this. I think it's just the Clippers have actually come out and talked about it. I don't know if anybody
they've been
else
more vocal than.
I don't think anybody else has been vocal about it. But if I'm sitting there talking about wanting to rest him 20 games, I'm coming up with an excuse. He was in practice, he took a shot, he landed on his ankle a little weird, and so he's going to sit and rest.
Yeah.
That's the way to get it. Why be so vocal about it, right?
Yeah, true.
So, put a fake boot on him. Say, hey, walk out there in a boot. And then all of a sudden the next day it's absolutely fine. He's flying up and down the court.
Miraculous healing.
Yeah.
The Ducks and Kings are just plugging along. Ducks 9-8-1, Kings 5-11-1. Not really much. I still haven't seen a lot of consistency in the Ducks.
No. A lot of
they'll look
pains.
great. They'll look great one night and then.
Yeah, no, and this homestand, the start of it looked pretty good. To go 2-0 at such a fast start, and then dropping against Minnesota, losing that overtime against Chicago, and then absolutely getting dismantled against Edmonton was tough to watch. There's going to be growing pains, but the other part for the Western Conferences, or the Western Division, everyone's losing.
Yeah.
So the Ducks are at 19 points, but if they win tonight against Detroit, now they're back into the swing of things. So, But I think that's going to be the Ducks all year. I think they're just going to, have some growing pains. I mean, the young guys have done well. They're going to need to try and trade for somebody come the trade deadline. I know I hate to say it, even though the deadline's in February, but they're going to need another veteran offensive player. That's just, Getzlaf can't be doing this the whole time.
This was a 7-game, their longest homestand of the year.
Yeah.
And I was looking, there's 14 points. I was looking at them grab 9 or 10 points
out
out
of
of
at
that.
least.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
But,
the Kings are the Kings, though. I mean, they're just, they're the champions tour of hockey,
They're basically what the Ducks were last year.
Yeah. It might be worse.
Slow,
it might be worse.
Yeah.
But, I still like the direction the Ducks are going. It's I think this guy's just trying to figure out how he's going to do it. And he's in obviously a tough division. It's like you said, the West is beating up the East, So I just think it's just something that he has to kind of figure it out. It's his first season. I have no problem being patient with the guy.
Plus, it's like Jake said, it's growing pains. I mean, a lot of young kids. These kids are going to be great.
Yeah, they
but
are.
They're not going to be great this year.
Yeah.
It's going to take 2 or 3 years.
And I know Lindholm's out. He just went on the IR. Manson's coming back. So, I personally still think they're going to somehow scratch their way into the playoffs. I do. I think they're going to probably make a wild card at best. But, like I said before on the show, like if this is a rebuilding year, as a Duck fan, you're loving this.
Pretty exciting.
This is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
With how Jones and Terry and Comtois has been playing, and you actually have a coach that actually fits their offensive scheme instead of dump and chase every chance they got.
You notice they're knocking on Carlisle's door to hire him. Nobody's knocking on his door.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
No, and that's the thing where it's just I think with the whole Eakins being in San Diego, coming with these guys, they haven't missed a step.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Oh, talking about hockey. I'm trying to figure out. Maybe you guys might know.
Oh, Don Cherry?
Don Cherry got fired.
Got fired. I saw that this morning.
What was it about?
You people.
What?
Yeah, he basically said the you people about
really?
not wearing
immigrants
not wearing the what is the
Canadian whatever it is. You people.
Yeah, he said you people on live telecast. Yeah, I wasn't.
Oh boy. Rocco Baldelli and Mike.
No way.
Shield. Yeah.
Shield
got the manager of the year.
This is based on regular season now.
Yeah.
I disagree with Baldelli, but okay.
Well,
who would you have picked?
Cash.
Cash did a great job in Tampa.
Tampa.
I think he was third.
The thing with Baldelli is that division's terrible.
It is.
That division.
Well,
you're
Cleveland.
Cleveland, but you're playing Detroit, Chicago, Kansas City. They played Baltimore 10 times. So you're playing under sub 500 teams. Cash, AL East, competed, got to the playoff spot. I get
wild card,
Minnesota did wild card, but it's like I don't know. I personally thought Boone was going to get it from watching it this morning with all the New York writers.
Oh, of course.
But I was like, I think Cash should have gotten it, but
Yeah. Plus, look at his payroll; it's under $100,000.
It's
$100,000. It's less than $100,000.
Yeah.
And then Schultz, I don't know. I think the NL was kind of reaching for somebody to.
I thought the Washington.
And Dave Martinez gets 0 votes.
Yeah.
No, he got 5, I think.
Well, why?
5 votes.
Why?
This is based on the regular season, not the playoffs.
Oh, gotcha.
But when you're 19-31 though in May,
yeah,
right.
That's true.
Yeah.
And you make the playoffs.
And I'm sorry, but the Cubs basically lost that division because the Brewers were almost out of it. And if the Cubs split it,
Yelich got hurt, he was done.
Yeah.
The Cubs split against the Cardinals. Schultz not getting that manager of the year. I don't know. I'm a little shocked by that.
Did you heard coming in that the Angels have hired Rudy LaRusso?
Tony La Russa?
Tony LaRusso?
Oh, they hired Tony La
Yeah,
Russa?
As a senior advisor.
And what is he going to do?
That's what they were all
More
asking.
pet stores.
I
in
know
Anaheim.
that I heard that
Keep him in the game.
But what was wild is I heard the hitting coach stayed on board.
I didn't agree with that.
And then didn't he bring in his hitting coach?
He did.
Awesome.
His assistant. He'll be an assistant.
Assistant hitting coach.
He brought in his hitting coach to be an assistant hitting
Oh,
coach.
so he's going to be assistant hitting coach. Okay, gotcha. So he hits fungos is more or less what he does. Yeah,
Got to do it. But
I think those kids liked this. The hitting coach.
Reed?
Yeah, Reed.
Reed, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy Reed.
The other guy's gone. Wooten.
Sean Wooten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was.
I mean,
They
I
had
don't know.
they had three hitting coaches. Who was the other one?
Oh,
Forgotten.
it'll come to me. It's an Italian guy.
Jimmy Reese.
The thing that I don't, the thing
Yeah,
that
he was.
kind of bugged me about that. I mean, they kept Jeremy Reed, but Madden's press conference, he basically said like, oh, there's a bunch of candidates that are knocking on our door to be the all the different coaches for the staff, and it's basically the same staff besides Callaway.
So they kept Gallego. They kept the
Yeah,
base
Gallego
coach.
was the bench coach. Butterfield is their third base coach.
Right.
Feliciano's their first base
Where'd
coach.
Gallego go?
Bench coach.
Bench
Bench
coach.
coach.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and then Jose Molina's the same.
Right.
Yeah.
So where did he come from?
The Cubs. He was
Cubs.
the third base coach,
Okay.
and he was with Boston for
And
a
the
long
first
time.
base coach was his coach too?
No, with the Angels.
Oh, he
Feliciano,
stayed.
yeah.
Oh, he stayed.
That's how bad we don't know this Angel staff because
Oh.
of last year, because nobody knew who the hell these guys were.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I'm happy, and then I found
Brad
out
Osmus end up anywhere?
no.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't gotten a touch. He hasn't gotten a phone call.
Hmm.
That comes as no surprise.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
and the Angels too came out.
He inherited a nightmare.
No, he did.
He inherited a guy named Epler.
Epler, and I think Osmus was still the worst manager besides Terry Collins. But
Oh, really?
I'm
Wow.
going to say it.
That's going.
But
Whoa. Wow.
but the thing
I forgot about Terry Collins.
the GM meetings are in Arizona right now, and
Right.
and Epler came out and said that we're going to try and get at least two big name starting pitchers.
Right.
But then I just heard from Boris's camp reading up today that now Cole's saying that he's upwards for $300 million, and it's like I don't know if the Angels
Can you
got
have a
enough pocketbooks.
400 and a 300?
I heard
Oh.
Ken Rosenthal coming in, and he said he thought around 250.
That
Price is 217 is the highest for a pitcher. Not years wise, but value wise.
Wow.
That's
What
a
is
lot.
that? Is that how many years is that for a pitcher?
That's gonna be that's my guess, probably 8 years.
It's got to be. He's what, 29?
Yeah, it's gonna be a probably 8 year, probably opt out after 5. That's my guess. Like everybody else, like every other pitcher, there's an opt out after year 4 or 5.
I just don't know about. I'll never forget when I was covering the Angels. I was sitting with Don Drysdale in the press room in Arlington one night before a ball game, and when free agency was just starting to make its face shown, and he said, I would never sign a pitcher for more than 2 years
Really?
because just of the wear and tear. Of course, this is back in the day when Nolan Ryan
Right.
thrown
180 pitches.
300 innings
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just so easy to get a Tommy John or something here, something
Especially
there.
nowadays.
And can you imagine? I mean, Price is what, had a 7-year contract, and look how much time
Yeah.
he spent on the disabled. He
Yeah.
spent out a lot.
David Price,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. No, I know.
And he had I think he had a 7-year contract.
Yeah, Darvish has got a 7 or 8 year deal.
Yeah.
It's just
It's unbelievable.
I don't get it. To pitch every 5th day. That's the other thing that just blows my mind is these pitchers are getting way too much money.
Well, everybody seems to think that Cole's going to sign with the Angels, but
How are you going to sign
Would
with
you
the
rather-
Angels for $300 million?
would
No.
you rather do that, or would you rather go get a couple of 2 or 3 Zach Wheelers or that type of?
Well, I mean, or would you rather spin it on third baseman like Rendon?
Stalkus.
I think he'll go to the
be up.
Dodgers.
Rendon.
Moustakas. But I mean, the
true,
guy
yeah.
from Washington is available.
Mm.
And then you go get I don't know. I guess you got to look at who's available other than Cole. I mean, I tell you right now, I would not go after Strasburg.
No.
Oh, he
I
threw
think
too many innings this year.
He's just
No way.
fragile as fragile
No
gets.
way.
I'd like for the Padres to go get him. You pitch at
Hometown.
San Diego State.
right?
Yeah.
Went to West Ranch.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know who's out there. That's again, it's just not one pitcher. You need a lot there. You know,
Yeah,
there's
that's right.
you know
You can
you
always-
need a closer. You
figure-
need a setup guy. There's a lot of stuff there.
Figure if
I
you
watched Moneyball the other night. It was great.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Fire you up.
blast. She's like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "Sit down. You'll enjoy it." So,
Adapt or die.
yeah.
You, you got 162 games, and your pitcher only makes maybe 25, 30 starts. I mean,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do with the other 130 starts?
I would go after a Zach Wheeler, Robbie Ray, and be done with it.
Yeah.
Those are two legitimate arms.
Robbie Ray, Zach,
Arizona.
really, yeah.
I'd go after Wheeler because Wheeler's he could be a number 1 in some clubs, but he's a solid number 2. I don't know who the Angels number 1 would be, but you get those two guys. They're probably about the same price as like a $250 million deal. That's something I would go after, and then be done with it, and then have some money on the books to go after and get maybe like a Mike Moustakas for a 2-year deal or a something else. Just because I don't know if we're gonna put all of our eggs in one basket with Garrett Cole, I think it could be one of those things where it's like, okay, we got Cole and that's it.
You know, in the Angel history, he'll get Tommy John on opening day.
I'll tell you though, if you think about it, right? Dodgers go get him, and Walker Buehler to Cole to Kershaw.
Oh, that team would be
to Rue. I mean,
hopefully they can make it past the first round again. But yeah,
wow, you know who Zach Wheeler's pitching coach was last year?
Callaway.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Oh, and that's the other thing too, where I've also been reading up where possibly you can go after and get like a guy like Nick Castellanos, who was a Detroit Tiger and then a Cub player. Stick him in right field if Adele's not ready. So you got Upton, Trout, Castellanos. That's a pretty damn good.
Didn't he play shortstop, or is he an outfielder?
He's an outfielder.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, you're thinking of Iglesias.
No, I'm talking about the short. I thought he was a shortstop.
Oh, he was the third baseman to start his career. Yes.
Okay.
And then they moved him to the outfield.
Okay.
And I'm like,
yeah, because Cole's gone. So,
if they would have re-signed Calhoun,
14.
I would.
Well, that's $14 million.
Done.
Yeah.
They paid him $1 million buyout, but they saved $13 million.
Yeah.
That was smart. I didn't.
Yeah, no,
God.
He was only there defensively. That's all he was there for.
Pete Alonso and Jordan Alvarez.
Yeah.
The rookies of the year.
They deserved it.
Yeah,
no surprise there.
No surprise, no.
If Tatis stayed healthy, maybe, but Alonso's numbers were out of the. I mean, they were off the charts.
John, do you want to wrap up the breeders? We were dark last week, so we missed it.
Yeah, I mean, he might be able. Jake might be able to talk a little bit more about some other races, but just the Classic, which is the major race. It was quite interesting. I was watching TVG the night before, and they had a young kid on there that they more or less just said, "How do you think the race is gonna pan out?" And he almost called it to a T. He said War Will, who was the Preakness leader, he's a speed in the race. He'll take it out, and he'll be the leader around the turn. Exactly right. He said McKenzie will fall in right behind, and he'll always try to be on his back hip, although he had some real problems at the first turn. He had to pull up and kind of steer. It was a great steer job by him. And what he'll do is he'll just go right in behind his hip, and he'll just stay there and find his time to go. Now, Mongolian Groom, God rest his soul, was the horse that got taken down, but he came up to the right side of McKenzie on the backstretch, and at the three-quarter pole, that guy, I don't know who was riding him, asked him to go. And by asking him to go, that means McKenzie had to go with him because he needs to push this horse out wide, right? So then War Will is done. He's passing out. Now the whole thing is Vino Rosso is back behind him, just kind of cruising, drafting, letting them do all their little jockeying around, right? And then, what race was it that he got disqualified for? Is that the Santa Anita Derby, or what was the big race? Vino Rosso got disqualified. Or threw his rider, right? Or he threw
no, it was the Santa Anita Classic.
So he comes around the turn, and now this kid has got a lot of horse ready to go because he's been waiting for these horses to do whatever needs to be done. And then what happens is Mongolian has to go onto the inside. McKenzie's now got the lead, and then Mongolian takes a bad step and breaks the ankle or the foot or something, and has to be destroyed, which is and then all of a sudden Vino Rosso comes out of nowhere around after letting them do all the jockeying work and just comes right by McKenzie and just destroys him. Now, hindsight, armchair quarterback, I thought that McKenzie was asked too early to go because of Mongolian. So that allowed him to be asked early, which means down the stretch, he didn't have much at the very end. Now, I've talked to a lot of guys, and they said, I don't care when you would have asked him, he still would have got beat. Now, it might have been closer,
Right.
but the better horse was Vino Rosso. So this young guy, and when I was watching it, he called pretty much the whole race. He told him, they had the little magnets. He's like, they're going to be here, and then they're going to be here, and they're going to be here, and then it's going to like this. And other than high power, he had the first and second place horse. And so I think the best horse won, to be honest with you. And I think, Mike Smith got pulled off of McKenzie. His horse didn't fire either. He struggled. He came in like third to last. But I kind of thought, Baffert, maybe it's not the rider. Maybe it's just your horses didn't have enough. Although Jake thought he had enough to win, but I ended up hitting the exacta and Jake didn't.
There's going to be a new section at Sunset Station out in Henderson out there. All the money I blew.
Oh,
on
really?
that.
Is that where you were?
It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah.
Thank God for Minnesota.
So, again, it was a great race, and then it was spoiled by a horse having to be put down, which is not fun, and let alone by the way, they had 4 different vets. Sorry. Each horse was looked at by 4. They had 30-something vets there, and 4 vets per horse had to make their assumption. They scratched a lot of horses that weekend. A lot of horses got scratched.
Especially in the juveniles.
And that horse was doing great till he got to the turn, and I'm thinking it was a bad step. I don't think it had anything to do with the track.
Yeah, no,
it was a bad step. And so it's just that day. I'm curious to see if that happened on Friday, if there would have been more scratches on Saturday. But overall, I watched a majority of all Friday, and it was great racing. It was really good racing. And then I thought it was a great classic also.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. 32-31 Phoenix Suns. 10:43 in the second.
Long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do we have anything else?
Yes, I do have some things to say about golf. Not a big fan of Mr. Woods picking himself. Couple things here. One, you're a captain, be a captain.
That's right. There's too much to do.
My first inclination is it's his ego, right? He wants to.
Exactly.
It's all about him, right? But then there's a second part of me that thinks that the tour is behind this, saying, hey, this is a dying event, and we need to get it spiced up. Well, it usually does get spiced up when it's away from America, because they'll get the crowds that come support it, because Australia doesn't get the Tiger Woods and all those guys to show up. Mm. So I can see it being it's going to be very well attended. But when it's in the States, it's like a web.com tour. I mean, they don't get a lot of people. It's all camera angles. I know somebody that went to the one in, now again, the Trump tournament, the Trump golf course is kind of hard to get to in New York, but he says on holes 3 through 8, you could walk by yourself. There's nobody out there watching it. So, I don't know, speculation. I don't know if the tour's behind this, but I know that some people that are past Ryder Cup captains that came out and said, if you're going to put yourself as a player in this tournament, you need to step away as the captain. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but I agree with them. I'm like, you're a captain, be a captain. It's not the Ryder Cup. It's just like, my deal is, when you're playing, you can't captain.
Yeah, you made the point.
And I know what Tiger's going to do is like, what can I do? They're on the golf course. I go, but when there's, when you have matches coming down the stretch, you need to be preparing for the afternoon matches. You can't do that from the golf course. So are you just going to look to Stricker and say, Stricker, here's what I think we should do. And, I'm going to laugh if Stricker comes out on the golf course and goes, I need to talk to you about something as you're walking. This is crazy. It's just, I don't like it. You're a captain, be a captain, and don't play. And obviously, I think he's probably going to play one match and play a single, and then that's it. And I would assume that he plays early. Mm-hmm. Like he's got to play in the first match. Mm-hmm. So he's done and and by the way, he doesn't have a very good match play. He doesn't have good records doing this. No. It's very intimidating for somebody to play with him, one. And two, he's not a very good match player guy. And so, I don't know. I thought Kisner or Kevin Na would have been a good pick. But, is what it is. That's my 2 cents.
If nobody has anything else?
Nope. I don't have anything else.
We'll wrap it up, and we are out.
Peace.